It's Tuesday afternoon at 4 p.m. in Switzerland, and it's Space Café WebTalk time. Our Space Café WebTalk 33 minutes with Juan de Dalmau will begin soon. Thank you for joining us for this very informative and definitely very inspiring talk today about education and training for humanity in space. We know we keep you away from the cyber IAC right now, but thanks for giving us these 33 minutes of your valuable time. As always, we appreciate your participation and your ongoing feedback. I'm Torsten Kriening, your host today and publisher of SpaceWatch.Global. We are a Switzerland-based online platform for information in and about space and new space activities in a geopolitical context. I know many of you are already familiar with our website, our bi-weekly and our daily newsletters, and of course, the Space Café podcast. We also opened our fan shop online for you, where you can support us actively and become a space watcher. Edition 1 has cool mugs, masks and awesome t-shirts for you, your friends and the ones you love. Your support is needed to keep our independent journalism alive. I can't repeat it enough. We need your support for what we are doing for you. If you have missed any of our previous web talks, we have an archive available on our web page in the event section and on YouTube. We host our Space Café web talks live on a weekly basis. This is already the 29th edition. I hope you mark Tuesdays at the same time in your calendars. And I know many of you do that already, and we are very grateful for that. Today, I'm honored to be joined by a person I really admire for his continuous and very hard work, Juan de Dalmau. Welcome to the show. Juan serves as the president of the International Space University, the ISU, and is based at the ISU campus in Strasbourg in France. He studied mechanical engineering at the UPC in Barcelona, business administration at the Philadelphia College for Textile and Science, and interdisciplinary space studies at the ISU in Strasbourg, and languages. He has over 35 years of experience in the aerospace sector in management, education and communications, including as the range operation manager for the French Space Agency CNES at the Europe's spaceport in Kourou in French Guiana, and as the head of communication at the European Space Agency in the Netherlands. Juan was raised in a German-Spanish family. He speaks 7 languages. With his wife, Christina, he enjoys a family of 3 children. And in respect to our audience, we will continue to speak English and not German. And not Spanish, because I don't speak Spanish at all. With that, I'm very proud to welcome you again, Juan, in my show. Let's kick that off.
Guten Tag, Torsten. Thank you. I hope I still remember a little bit of those languages. Let me propose a toast with a coffee cup. And I hope you brought your cup, Torsten.
Indeed.
This is the one here. Okay, yes, great. So cheers, everyone. I hope everyone has something to celebrate. Greetings from, how I like to say it, from the surface of planet Earth here in Strasbourg. It's great to see all these known names who are connected, but some I don't know. So hopefully we can hear from those as well. If they ask good questions, I'm sure, Torsten, you will answer them. I can answer the bad ones.
No. You will answer them. You're my guest, so I'm not here for answering questions. I'm just the guy entertaining the crowd. Let's kick that off. I mean, we slightly changed this title from the advertisement into Education and Training for Humanity in Space. What does humanity in space mean for you? And can you elaborate a little bit on that?
Torsten, I don't pretend to know all of humanity, but I think what I've learned so far is that humanity is in space. I think we can say that because we are more and more aware of the fact that we all live on one spaceship. And this spaceship is navigating through space, whether we want it or not. That's a fact. So when we say humanity in space, we mean that there is a growing interest among many people to learn more about space, to explore more in space, but also to benefit more from the vast resources of the cosmos and from all those good things that we can apply here on Earth. And there is something that maybe my space enthusiastic friends around the table might not like hearing, but let me say it anyway. Very often when I listen to presentations and projects, ideas about going to space, people who are imagining how our habitats will be and how our spaceships will be, and who are planning what we will do as a humanity whenever some of us will move out there, what I always see is that we're trying to reproduce the way we live here. We're trying to have the same plants, the same atmosphere, the same animals, the same friends, the same habits. Shouldn't we imagine something different? And if we do, we will, of course, imagine something better than what we see here today. So my proposal is, why don't we take that better thing we are hoping for space, why don't we apply it right now here on Earth? So that's my question back to you, Torsten.
But what is wrong with having the same friends in space than you have here on Earth? I mean, I would take my friends with to space to have at least somebody to rely on while there. I mean, I'm not pretending. I'm not admiring to go to space. Honestly, I mean, I'm over it. So it's done for me. So, but in case of, then I would like to have the people I trust, the people I work with, so the friends with me. So I wouldn't rather stick with friends than go to something new. But that's just me. Yeah?
Yes, I respect your position, Torsten. And I would like to confront it with what we observed this past summer. We had almost 90 space enthusiasts who decided to travel together to space, but very few of them knew each other. And even less of those were friends. But they still decided to embark on a simulated trip. Some of them went to Earth orbit, others to the moon, others to Mars. They all survived. It was challenging. They were confined. They had to learn how to live, how to work together, how to produce quality work. And believe it or not, they all came back. And now there are many more friendships among those people. So would you be open, Torsten, to make new friends while you're traveling and working in space, whether it is in real space or in virtual space?
Absolutely. No doubt about it. And as I experience the ISU or hospitality as well, or 2012, 2011 with the executive MBA, I mean, the ISU sent us around, and I think we had 5 courses in over 1.5 years, each course 2 weeks. So it was a virtual, physical experiment for all of us. And the 25 that has been in our crowd, I mean, became friends. And absolutely, but it has also to do with the entire ISU environment. But I mean, when we talk about this year, I would like to pause that. Let's start with, or I would like to ask another question about the growing interest in space. Are we seeing that? Or is it just among the new people? Is it among entrepreneurs because space is cool? Or what is behind? Or is it also among governments around the world? So where does this, is there a rising interest in space? Or is there not? Because I mean, I discussed it this morning with my wife, and she said, "I don't care about space." So it's just you and your crowd of specialized people. She used another word, but I don't want to repeat it. I think it ended up with nerds. So, however, how do you see that?
Yes, yes, I think that's a good conversation that I also regularly have with my wife. When she meets with the students or the professors of ISU, she doesn't say it in front of them, but afterwards she tells me, I feel so small next to these people because they're all not nerds, but they're all so knowledgeable and so specialized and so brilliant that sometimes I don't know what to say to them. But back to your question, Torsten, you're asking whether there is a real growing interest in space matters or whether it's our own imagination.
Yeah.
What we observe at our university is that there are more and more young people who realize that solutions to humanity's challenges of today can come from space. And we see more young people or not so young people who decide to come and study here because they have an idea to make this spaceship a better place, whether it is through an entrepreneur's idea, they have an idea for a business and they want to learn about the other aspects that they did not have at their own university, whether it is the laws and regulations or the business and management or the engineering side of things. But we also see a growing interest among more senior decision makers in companies who never thought of investing in space, whether it is in space exploration or in space applications on Earth. So we see more and more people who want to know, what is this thing about space that now seems to be trendy? Could this be a new business for my company? And we see these people from all over the world. But also at government level, look at the number of space agencies that have been created in the past 12 months. I don't have the number, but it's much more than in the past 15 years. So it shows an interest by governments for space as a place where you can do things, where you can see your country playing a better role in the future, where it is worth investing for your own young people to not miss the boat or not miss the spaceship. And we see also among those governments, not only civilian space agencies, but also in the ministries of defense, we see in many countries the new office being created for space matters. So governments are realizing that it is strategically important to at least know what's going on in space and what does it mean for the sovereignty, for the security, and for the future of my own country. It doesn't mean they have to prepare for war. Luckily, there are only a couple of countries who are preparing for war in space, and that's already too many. But all of the rest of the countries we see is a genuine interest for learning more. And that's where we see our mission to help people learn more and learn from each other.
Great that you raised that this morning. We published a long read on SpaceWatch.Global, an interview with Kai-Uwe Schrogel, addressing these space topics on a European level in the context of the German EU presidency. And there were ambitious plans, and then Corona hit us. Yeah, and I think the plans are adapted, but nevertheless, these plans are there and they are needed. I mean, yesterday Norway announced their budgets, we see this trend, and it's great that we have an interest. So following yesterday the talks at the IEC, and we all know the world changed. Instead of meeting each other in Dubai right now and are hanging out there at the IEC, so we do it in cyberspace. Or what is okay, but the human component is missing. So, and I imagine this pandemic has also a huge effect on the ISU as well. So, how did you manage your programs this year? And how do you survive? I know it's a hard question.
Yes, we decided we would change the meaning of ISU, and now it means I see you. In other words, we have learned to see each other. Even if we cannot touch each other, we see each other. And that's already very important.
But did you just say it, I see you?
I see you.
What
Yes.
might have for me another meaning. Okay.
Yeah. So what do I mean by I see you? What I mean, maybe we can hear more from one of the colleagues in the audience. I saw that Göktuğ Karakalyoglu, who is the director of the summer programs, is with us. ICU means that we never lost sight of each other. So when we look at the ISU community at large, and you know it's already more than 5,000 alumni in 110 countries, we try to keep sight of them. And we saw a great example this past summer with the feature of mentorship and coaching of those who were a part of this crew that was learning how to live in space without leaving their living room. So the concept of coaching and mentoring is something we tried as an organized component of the program for the first time. And one of the most appreciated parts in the end was precisely this ICU, where a young space enthusiast could spend 1 hour or 3 sessions of 1 hour with an expert, and they could see each other in the eyes, and they could talk about the future career opportunities, the challenges, and how to get about their next step in their career, or to find a contact or a piece of information they don't find elsewhere. So we are working for the ICU in many different fronts. Look at the master's program that is now running here in Strasbourg. We started 1 month ago with about half of the class at home because they were not allowed to travel. Now, most of them have arrived in the meantime, but they have already seen each other, and they are building their professional network despite the confinement. So we want to keep seeing each other and not losing this real vision of the ISU founders that saw the need for a university that would prepare the people who would take humanity into space, and that would take space into humanity through international collaboration, through peaceful intercultural understanding, and through interdisciplinary exchanges. And this, we can only see a growth and a growing interest for it.
So what are the programs you run right now? So, I mean, you had, or in the previous years, really different programs for the different levels, as you mentioned earlier. So is it all online right now, or except the master's program? How do you manage that?
Luckily, I'm not managing it. I watch my colleagues doing it.
You're supervisor
because
as a president, yeah.
It's a tough one. It's a tough one because we have to do a lot of things without being able to share the same room or the same space. But in terms of programs, as I was saying, the master's is now almost fully face-to-face here in Strasbourg. The upcoming courses will be online. So we're talking about a 5-day executive space course that will run in November for the Americas. And there we will have an interesting component of new space activities in Latin American countries. So this will happen in a convenient time zone for the Americas. And then if we look at January, February, we are getting ready for another very interactive online space program that we call the Southern Hemisphere, space studies that we run traditionally face-to-face with our partners of the University of South Australia. This will also be online. But as soon as we can all be in the same place, we hope to revert back to real face-to-face program. And that's what we really plan for future courses in April here in Strasbourg, and also in July and August in Granada, Spain, where we've been preparing for 3 years now already, together with our partners at the University of Granada, a residential space studies program. So if you don't know where to go next summer, put Granada on your schedule and hope for a real in-person visit to one of the most beautiful cities in the world.
Yeah, I hear you. Even so, I cannot believe that, and I'm not that optimistic. But however, again, it's me, it's my Space Cafe, so it's. Let's talk a bit further about the education sector. How should the education sector continue in this current paradigm shift of raising the awareness for space or in space? So what can we do here?
Yes, it's difficult to speak for the entire education sector, but I think one aspect has not changed, and that is the importance of education. So those of us who are enjoying the beautiful work in education should not forget that our mission is one of the most important and most useful to help humanity navigate through space. Because if we go backwards in education, we can only lose. And we can see, unfortunately, so many examples every day on the news, even through influential people who are trying to tell us stories that are based on non-education. And those influential people take advantage of followers who are not sufficiently educated. That's a problem I don't know how to solve, but just to illustrate that education is even more important today, because it seems that fake news can circulate even easier today. So we need to find ways to prepare every kid and every young person to be better educated and to be able to filter what is fake news from what is not. I don't have the miracle solution, but what I can see is that in the world of education, we now have access to knowledge in every corner of the planet that was unimaginable a few years ago. Just a small example, our crew who was flying through the solar system this summer, during 1 week, they had access to as many as 7 heads of space agency in 1 week. And having access means you can hear them speak live to you and you can ask them questions. We could have never done this without COVID, or it would have taken us a huge budget or a long time. So you can access people who are otherwise not available for virtually zero cost. You don't need to pay them any ticket or any expensive hotel. So education has become easier in some aspects, but it has become challenging in others. So imagine what happens in a not so developed country where families don't have internet at home and they cannot send the kids to school because the school is closed. How do you cope with that? Can space help? That's a question.
Sure, Elon will bring you to the solution. Yeah, internet wherever we want. Okay, we can't see the night sky anymore, but that's a minor detail. Yeah, that's it. That's the price of technology. Obviously, we have. But I think what you mentioned, and I take it into a different context. What we learned from COVID right now, or the pandemic right now, that we have to rethink our desire to travel our desire to go to all these events for meeting people, what we all enjoyed, no doubt. Yeah. And I mean, I was on the forefront with a number of gold cards every year on airlines. Sure, no doubt. But with pandemic, we have to rethink our own behavior, our own approach to that. And on one hand side, you just mentioned it's easy to access people online in a call like we do it here right now in a community for a period of time. That is great but it's just to exchange information. And that's it. That's also the limit of what we do right now here. So, but let me ask you concrete. Education, the new skill set, what are the areas of knowledge and the new skill sets, what we need? I mean, I know we have a number of people, we have a huge community out of India, a number of people really at the beginning of their career. They have this desire to say, hey, what have we, or to learn what is good, what is an area of growth in the future. Yeah. Because I think combustion engines in the German car industry is not really the way to go forward.
Yeah, let's talk about combustion engines. I grew up with them because before even deciding to study mechanical engineering, I was already repairing the motorcycles of the whole neighborhood in my parents' garage. So I cannot speak against combustion engines because they are a wonderful invention. But I think that you're asking about people in India who I believe have some very promising aspects to their future. On the one side, their government is investing in a steady way in space programs. And the way India has been giving the example to the rest of the world on how to make a smart use of public funds to use combustion engines, because India has its own launch vehicles, but also satellites to send education programs to all schools. I think India is a pioneer in using satellite telecommunications for primary and secondary education. Also, it's a great example of using meteorology from space to help predict and monitor the weather and the natural disasters. Mm-hmm. So I would encourage anyone in India to look at what is done in their own country and try to spread it around the world, because there may be other countries who can do the same or who can partner with India. And maybe with this, I could link to the question that has been posted on the Q&A channel, if you allow me, Torsten, by...
Certainly, yes.
Yeah, by Remco Timmermans, who is asking, how is ISU adjusting to the new context of the space sector with a fast-growing commercial space industry, a number of spacefaring nations and space data applications in non-space? So I think we don't need to adapt, but we have a very natural feedback system where we can invite people with new ideas to come and lecture and come and share their knowledge with our students. And I think, Remco, you are very familiar with this because you have been playing many different roles at our university, and you know it inside out. Let me give you an example. If you would decide to register for the Executive Space course, whether it is the one in the Americas in November, but I see that Pierre from Rome is telling us he will attend the April one in Strasbourg. You will see that we have introduced a new feature in the curriculum, which is about how to create or how to grow the space ecosystem in your home country or in your region. And we're lucky enough to have some quite experienced alumni who can teach us how this has been done in different parts of the world. Different countries and different regions have tackled this in different ways. Look at New Zealand, look at South Australia, look at Luxembourg, look at the newly announced Latin American Space Agency under the leadership of Argentina and Mexico. These are all great initiatives where a community has decided to invest and to create what is now called a space ecosystem. So we can learn from these people because they've done it. And that's what we do in our short courses and in the long courses. We bring in people who have done it and who are ready to share their experience with those who want to bring those concepts to their home countries or to their home companies.
Then let me take one of these questions Pierre sent over about the ISU's involvement in any analog astronaut program. Is there any of those you're involved with?
Yes, we like analog programs because they are a very good way to bring us close to the real space experience. If you were able to have this cafe in Strasbourg, we could show you the analog that is in the high bay here that was a project funded by the European Union to build a pilot habitat for extreme environments. This one is for 2 people, and you could spend 3 days there, or maybe a bit more if you're just one person. But what we see also is that many of our alumni and many of our faculty members are involved in space analogs. Let's look at Austria, one of the pioneering groups in space analogs, or Hawaii, or now Israel or Oman. You see members of the ISU community who are the designers, the promoters, the users, the scientists in these initiatives, so much so that if you would come, for example, to our master's program that will start in September 21, if I'm not mistaken, one of the team projects that will be tackled there is space analogs and how can we take better advantage of all those space analog initiatives that are running or being planned so that they can benefit more from each other. A little bit like the research on the COVID, where we see the health experts are really exchanging internationally the knowledge, even if the pharmaceutical companies are competing at the same time, but the scientists are exchanging. So we could do the same with analogs and we could learn much faster.
Great. So Pierre, I hope you get your answer for your questions. So one last question from me, because we got a warning already from our producers that we are running almost out of time, but I don't want to leave you from the hook here without this for me burning question. ISU has a huge community without any doubt, with I think 5,000 alumni, if I'm not mistaken. And this huge alumni group has a huge potential, of course. What can the community do to help the ISU in these hard days? It's now your moment to call out for help.
What the community can do is remember, I see you. And if you believe you would like to see the university in years to come, you might want to share some of your resources for the benefit of the next generation of space professionals. And your resources depend on where you are and where you are in your career. If you have time, you can come and give us your time. You're not giving it to us, you're giving it to the next generation. If you're more senior in your career and you're wealthy enough that you can contribute financially, obviously that will help young and promising people from underprivileged groups to learn and to become the sailors of our spaceship Earth. So wherever you are geographically, whenever you are in your career, you can help the good cause. And we're ready for you. We want to see you.
Great. Thank you, Juan. I can commit from our side, from SpaceWatch.Global side A, we are standing for reliable and true information on our website. So we are a reference for information, for open information, so not firewalled. It's accessible to everyone. And if you like us, just call us and drop us an email, and we are happy to help. I mean, what we open also for our readers is if they want to write something or contribute content to us, everyone is welcome to do so. So, and we will publish it on the website, and I can tell you it's read quite well. Great. Thank you very much. And I'm afraid we have to come to an end. Otherwise, they just switch us off here. Even so, I would like to continue this very inspiring and very intense talk with you. Thank you, Juan. But be sure we will continue to follow up on topics like space education, space careers in future Space Café Web Talks and in our magazine, of course. And let me do some special announcements here. After our first super intense and successful Space Café Moribus Vox Populi, we plan to do a next one on the 3rd of December. Stay tuned for further information. In this first session recap, we ask for your input on further topics. So if you would like to get engaged with Professor Moriba Jah, please drop us a note. And on the 12th of November, so next month, we will kick off another very special format series, our Space Café Black Ops by Ralph Thiele. And as you can imagine, this first session will focus, or all sessions will focus on military application, but this first session will focus on LEO, MEO, and military applications and developments there. So I know it's not everyone's favorite topic, but I think it's a topic we should talk about and be open about, as transparent as we can. Because even if a topic is invisible, or if a subject is an object is invisible in space, it is still there, as we know. Our next webinars are on the 20th of October. So next week, I will talk with Professor Ram Jaku, the acting director at McGill University in Canada, on the needs of more space policy and more space laws. That's a very interesting one. On the 27th, I will talk with Dr. Malcolm Davis from Australia about the Australian space strategy, especially the Australian military space strategy as member of the Five Eyes. And on the 3rd of November, I have the pleasure to talk with Chris Stott of Mansard. And as we all, or at least the alumni know, he is a long-standing ISU supporter, and in whatever high-level roles he was with the ISU, but he is there if we need him. And we will talk about topics of registration and licensing. So most of these events are online on Eventbrite, and on the rest we are working on as we speak. As always, we would like to hear your feedback, so please check in with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on LinkedIn. Don't forget to sign up to our daily or our bi-weekly newsletters, and if you like to treat yourself with something special, become a Space Watcher. Your support will help us to continue our independent journalism for the news and these web talks. Take your credit card and visit our fan shop at shop.spacewatch.global. And again, I can't repeat it enough. We need your support to survive and to continue our work. Our space cafes are up also for sponsorships of those that are capable for doing so. Thank you all very much for your interest today. And thank you, Juan, for this exciting talk and being my guest. And exactly, have
Cheers.
a coffee here. And
Awesome.
Thanks again to my entire team. Cheers, Juan.
And
Thanks
Frank,
again
the producer.
Yes, to the entire team behind the scenes for doing this great job week by week again. And sometimes we also do it bi-weekly. So, but they do this wonderful job. I hope you all will stay safe and stay healthy. And thanks for joining us. I hope to see you next week. In the meantime, visit our website or follow us on social media. Don't forget, become a space watcher. Thank you very much. All the best. Take care. And enjoy the further IAC conference now. I think they are now on Orion and Artemis and whatever. So great. Juan, thank you. Bye-bye. Ciao.
I see you.
I see.